Alright, Mopar people, welcome back to the channel. I'm Justmoparjoe. We're going to put some exhaust on the old 65 Coronet today. I've got a universal 2.5-inch kit from Jegs, and I am kind of liking what I'm looking at here. So y'all check this out. You could probably get it from Summit as well, or a similar kit. Let me give you this part number and we're going to see how it goes. So here are the parts, or actually some of the parts. You end up with 4 90s, 4 U-bends, 4 45s, 14 clamps, 2 long hangers, 2 short hangers, 3 L brackets, and you get 4 of these sections of pipe right here. All comes in that big box. I ordered the H pipe separately. Here's the H pipe number if you want to see it. And that comes with a bunch of clamps too. I got a couple little chrome 2.5-inch echo tips. I think they came from Jegs as well. Just something to make it pretty on the back of the car, but check it out. We got a pipe hanging up with an old tarp strap. What I kind of based that on was the diagram that they give you. And I have here a piece of exhaust tubing that was bent at a shop. This actually came out of a 69 4-door Roadrunner satellite. So this kind of gives you an idea of how the bends work. And I just compared what I had. So I used my 90 right there, a 45 back there, and another 90 here. And I just used a straight right out the back. So let me show you that from underneath after I show you this muffler. This is a Jegs. It's basically a knockoff MagnaFlow. You can look straight through. I like that design. And they're polished on the ends, best I can tell. That does not look very polished there, but it's fine. There's that kit. They even give it an MF1226 part number. So yeah, 2.5-inch in, 2.5-inch out, and it is centered to the sideways outlet there. Here's our part number for our kit, if you've been waiting on that. The sheet looks kind of torn up, but it actually says 6874 Charger, Super B, blah, blah, blah. And there's a diagram of it. So that's what we did. And there's a parts list if you want to stop and look it over. They give you instructions, but we're not going to worry about that. Let me show you what I got. Starting at the rear, I just ran me a little tarp strap over. It's hanging out here. Long piece of tubing. Every piece from the front forward plugs into the next one. So our flow will be going that way. And they give you, like I said, 1 million clamps, so you can clamp all these. I'm going to weld them. I got my old Hobart ready. But I'll tack it in place first. I got to do a little bit of trimming. So as we come up there, there's our 45. That 45 plugs into this 45. And another seam up here. That is actually a 90. No, it's hard to tell, but I'm going to build the next one up so you can see it. That's a 90, and there's a 90. And I just plugged it into our mufflers. You can tell, you can see this portion is hanging down too much. We want to shorten that, bring it up, so we're going to need to cut some pipe off this end where it plugs in here. Not a big deal. The reason I'm starting in the rear of the car here, there's a lot of adjustability, but my transmission's not in yet, and it's going to be done in the next week or so. But I wanted to get this stuff hung up and in place, get my hangers. I can hang this whole rear section. The muffler itself, you can see their pipe kit plugs into the front of it, but in the rear I actually just took a short stub of pipe and stuck in here. It's 2.5-inch. All this is 2.5. So that's been expanded. And if I wanted to weld that up, all I'd have to do is just fill in that seam. There's, you know, like I said, about an inch piece of pipe inside there. I may can show it to you. There it goes. And that gives you a lot of adjustability as well if you do that. They can cry about it slows the flow down or something, but it really doesn't. It's still a 2.5 inch pipe inside of 2 expanded pieces of pipe. So here's what it is. We want to adjust up here, we can. Cutting off, that's expanded. Hopefully you can see that. So any of the expansions, I had to use all kinds of stuff to hold this length of pipe up. And back to the inside. See, I still got my brake lines not hooked up yet. That's fine. What I'm doing is getting this pipe in place. So if we are a little close to the shock up there, we will move all that over. And the way you move that over is you just make twists in your bends. So if I twist here, twist there, I can actually it would even twist this. And if my muffler will stay flat, there we go. That little bit of twist. It's gonna be a little tight, but it's definitely doable. And for the price of this kit, I would probably choose it over like a TTI kit that costs 4 times as much. It just takes a little bit of elbow grease. You see our pipe we're running out the back, and I will get it adjusted. That piece right there needs to go upward, and I'll show you why. So the reason I say that, I would like this section closer to the frame rail. See how it's wide and then narrows down. If there was ever any moisture, it could get trapped in here. There probably wouldn't be, and if you crank the car up and rev it a few times, it would blow out. But I'd like everything to kind of flow downhill, like as if you were plumbing a house or something. So easy way of getting that to go upward, just cut a little off this pipe here. So I'm going to just adjust. I'll cut, move it upward, get it where I want it, and that might have slipped out a little bit there. And then I'll just come by and tack it all up. And I really don't want to put that many clamps. That's just extra weight hanging around. I want to use my clamps for my hangers. So I'll clamp there. If I can make it work out for a joint, I will, but I don't think it will. Let me get this side figured out and I'll show you what's going on here. So I found the factory hanger spot for back here in the back. I'm gonna go ahead and stick this in here before I cut in that front pipe. That one piece just fell out. Here's like a factory style clip. Takes a 5/16 bolt and it just popped in like that. So I have an extra one that I had stolen from up there the other day. Did you see that little spot, that hanger? I think it'll give it a little cleaner install if I can just pop it in here. Doesn't take much, and they give you that big gap. So it drops in like that, and then I get my screwdriver and just pop it down. It'll be a perfect hole right there. We'll have our L brackets ready for the backside. From the rear, I got that about inch block of wood there. Just keep my pipe nice and level, tied up against the bumper. I got this hanger good and tight right now. It's holding most of the weight of the system. Coming through here, my pipe swoops up real nicely. I got a little tack there. Pipe swoops up nicely. I got about 1/4 inch between the pipe and the gas tank there. If I can squeeze into here, between the pipe and the floor, that's at least a finger width. Fingers on this side, there we go. Fingers on that side. She runs down pretty nicely parallel. You can kind of see that to that frame rail and all the way out. So that'll be good. I'm going to clamp right here. If I can pull you back. I'm going to clamp right here to make my life easier. I don't think it's going to leak at all the way those clamps are, and that pipe is sunk in 2 inches. So if I clamp right in the center of that, it's going to be good to go. My pipe here, I took a little bit off of the expanded point, like probably an inch, shoved into there, and it's kind of ugly welded because I was laying on the bottom, but I welded on both sides. And my plug piece here, welded top and bottom. I got my muffler nice and level or parallel to the ground. I decided to kick them that way. Reason being, roll up. There we go. Okay, so reason being, the exhaust pipe itself actually comes down this way at an angle. I'm trying to get my mufflers up tight to the floor, but I don't want them so tight that you know, there's a lot of heat on the floor or anything like that. I could have probably flipped them over and it would have put my kick either on the front side or kicked the muffler kind of close to the drive line, which is not in right now. So I feel pretty good about that. I got, if I can slide that back, excuse me. Got a big, nice width here. You know, finger width all the way through. And the front piece of pipe is just resting up there, so not a big deal. I'll do my X pipe stuff later. And the back here, no, it's a little dark. That's a factory hanger, so I should be able to run off it with my other rubber and come straight down to there. It's almost perfectly straight in line. That was another reason. Let me back you up. Almost straight in line from there to there. So when it hooks up, it's not going to swing the whole system one way or another. They'll be really resting straight down on the two hangers there before I make my connections in the front. So this side's pretty well done. I'm going to pop apart my seam right here, weld all the way around, boom and boom, where it's so easy on the ground. I'll take the back down and weld around there and there and stick her back together. Well, would you look at here, we've got the left side tailpipe in. You can kind of see it. And both mufflers hanging around. I did weld passenger side muffler to that tailpipe. It's got two hangers in the back. I'll show you that in a minute. And we're coming forward, so this pipe is just stuck in that muffler right there, coming through. I feel really good about this system so far. I'll need to maybe angle that one muffler a little bit more, but currently my transmission is not in. Y'all can see that, obviously. I've got a bell housing here, and my transmission's on the way, so I've got the engine leveled up the best I can. I stuck the cross member back in here. Hopefully you can see that. And what I need to do, there we go. So what I need to do is hook off this short header. It'll come down and go right underneath our center link. So just making a nice curve here and coming back that way. Because this car will get an H pipe about right through here. So this pipe here is just for mock-up, but it's kind of hard to show you all this stuff under the car like this because it's really bad camera angles and all that, but I think I'm getting by okay. I'm going to be really tickled with this system when it's done. Getting good results for what it is. Right here you'll see I just had one of those U-bends that did that and come all the way back down. I split it right in the center and slid it in that pipe. So this end of this pipe is about, I believe it's 2.5 inch. And where the collector comes down, see I got a little paint chipping off here. I'm gonna repaint that oil pan when I pull this engine out. But yeah, where that comes down, this pipe is gonna do something like this. So see the other pipe, it's a nice slip fit right there. You see that, it's pretty tight. There's a little bit of slack, but that's nothing. So if I wanna create a false angle here, I can. What I would probably do is take a little bit more off my collector so it's not just blowing straight into the side of a pipe here. But overall I think it's going to flow pretty well, especially 2.5 inch mandrel bent exhaust all the way out. So the system will look something like this coming down. I mean, like I said, this is just a funky mock-up here. But I've got to get that pipe shortened to bring this distance a little closer. Obviously, I want everything up as tight and nice as I can, leaving plenty of room here so that that nut and such does not rub this pipe whenever it's cycling side to side. So just got to keep all that in mind. There's no really other way unless I could try to go through something funky through this gap here, doing a bunch of weird curvy bends and stuff. Might be possible, but then again, it's going to be, you know, up on the oil filter where it goes and all that jazz. So I'm going to make this work pretty nicely. If it hangs down below that K-frame there, it's going to be basically the width of that pipe, and it'll still have, you know, 8 inches of ground clearance. So not bad. The mufflers in the back are nice and tucked. See that frame member there? Let me get you a side view. Here's just a little side view of that muffler. So that distance right there, I would guess is 3/4 of an inch, less than my hand thickness, and it's nice and flat to the bottom of the car, but it's not touching the floor pan. There's plenty of room between it and the floor pan there. But I was able to kind of kick in with my rear tailpipe in and that way to suck that stuff back up some, because you don't want it dragging. That's probably the worst thing you could have. Let's look at our tailpipes in the back. There they go. Yes, they need to be shortened, but I feel pretty good about that. Just use a factory hanger location for the back one. The front hanger, you see that clamp right there, I went through the trunk. See, I got my little pry bar here just so I could pull a little piece of cardboard back and run a bolt and nut through there. I didn't want to weld to the inside all that stuff after I just coated the bottom of this car, so it's got a big nice thick bolt, nut, lock washer, everything bolted up solid. These pipes, they've got a little wiggle to them side to side, but whenever they're welded up to mufflers and the whole system, there won't be any issue at all. They're fairly even. That side needs to come up just a hair, but it was kind of odd to start in the back like this, but my transmission's not done yet, and I need to keep pushing forward some progress. So let me show you our system. All right, back for one more day here. I'm gonna get this finished up. I did switch to you can see it hanging out here, just a mock-up transmission, because I know the bell housing was a little different there at the bottom, and then I had to account for a pan and stuff. You see I got room between my pan and there. Same thing over here. I'm gonna tweak that just a little bit. I have my H-pipe. I know it does matter somewhat, a small amount, where you put your H-pipe at, but I just put it where it's happy. I got a pretty nice straight shot to those front pipes. I have not welded that up yet, just tacked that side. That side's not even tacked yet. I turned my wheel lock to lock to be sure that center link would clear just fine. It's got at least a 1/2 inch, but I didn't want them hanging way down, you know, like this is still a much tighter system than you would have had with long tube headers, and that's what we were all after. Everything's working out so far. My last connection will be from here into my muffler. This muffler is, see my piece of 2.5 inch there, so that's a 2.5 inch. This is expanded, and that's expanded where a pipe would go in. So I've got a little bit of maybe rock back and forth here, so I can get my pipe started. And then that one I did weld up the other day, so I'll have to work a little bit more with it. Up here in my H, I'm probably going to just clamp these for right now so that I can take this system back out, or at least the front half of it, when I do that transmission, because the new trans should be done next week. I've talked to the guy, good friend of mine. He built my race car transmission. So when I get these two pipes in here, I'll get all that adjusted, and then I can go back out and adjust my tail pipes. You remember that one on it, the passenger side hangs a little bit low, so I'm gonna cut some of that extra off. And okay. So we're up here. So everybody's gonna need to do this at some point. You gotta have your cool slant cut echo tips, right? This is actually a 2.5 inch, so it is the exact same as that pipe right there. So I'm gonna have to butt weld it up in here somewhere, but kind of figure out where you want your tip. So in my opinion, I like for it to be past the bumper a little bit instead of like that, because just that extra exhaust to get out of there, that's important. I am going to go through the trouble of using this handsaw just so I'll get a nice straight cut to be able to butt up to. I could use my Sawzall and I may get a little gap here and there and whatever. Didn't really want to do that. And I'll clock these later, but I need to use these lengths of pipe to finish out my other stuff. So the way I was going to do it, I've got a paint stick from actually using on this car. It's red. I'm going to put it on my bumper. It's got a little indent in there, and wherever that hits, I can just draw me a line. So I'll show you on this opposite side so you can see what's going on. A little indentation on the bumper. I'll put that right there. And then I'll draw my line on that side. So see where the sloped slant is there? I can hang my tip up, kind of match my slant up, and then draw my line on the back side. So I'll double check this, but it'll be something like that right there. And that's it. So I've got my line inside. It would put my slant right there, which I know is past the bumper. And they'll be even on both sides whenever I do this. I'm gonna get to cutting. Better cut us off right there. I appreciate y'all watching. I'll catch you next time.